Hello everyone, this is CJNovo992 and today we're back from the brand new video and I sit in front of you like Bill Murray because by goodness gracious, it's Groundhog Day again. In fact, it's so familiar and you look at that half good, half bad, playing well for half the game and then looking absolutely terrified and failing to see a game out and failing to manage properly that I genuinely feel like I could dip into the old bag, pull out maybe any of 10, 11 games last season under Clement, edit out the team name, chuck in the name Motherwell, upload it and nobody was notice a difference because the paths we're going to talk about, some of the frustrations, the breakdown in play, the fault for the goal, it's all the exact same stuff, ladies and gentlemen. In a season it's supposed to be fresh starts, new era, new takeover, new manager, new this, new that. We ended the game of football relying on the exact same players who fails us year in, year out. And I don't know about you, but that's driving me absolutely mental. It seems beyond insanity, and Martin ends up joining the wrong side of history. We gave so much positivity. We prayed for him so hard that he would be the first manager in a long time to win their season opener in terms of a Rangers manager, but he ends up falling and repeating the exact same mistakes as Clement and the exact same mistakes at Beale. And if you look at the team that ended the game of football, is there any surprise? Ladies and gentlemen, you look at the substitutions that happened in the game, the good players we took off, the players that we brought on, the leaders we're relying on to lead this leadership group. Oh, well, he's playing because he's a part of the leadership group. This guy's a part of the leadership group. Is anyone paying attention to where these leaders lead us every single season? Because it's not good enough for this club. And if Martin doesn't believe that, ask Phil and ask Michael. That's actually quite fitting. Now, of course, it is very, very early on the season and you might be of the perspective that, whoa, CJ, let's not get too angry right now. It's first game, we've just had a European game, sometimes these can happen. And that's absolutely true, ladies and gentlemen. You are spot on about that. In fact, some of our greatest managers that we cherish in our hearts have went ahead and dropped games against the likes of Motherwell and being beat here and beat here. So it isn't the end of the world right now, but again, the air of familiarity in us repeating the exact same mistakes that the previous manager did, that the previous manager did, that the previous manager did, just heightens the entire thing, and then we get worried and we get stressed because we as a fan base are on the outside looking in and we're just banging on the window screaming Russell's name, trying to tell him that there's a guy waiting in behind them. You know, it's like watching a horror film and you can see what coming, you start to go, oh no, Danny, go in there. That's what we're like as a Rangers fan base because we've seen this story time and time again. So no matter where you're sitting, whether you're half empty, half full, you're trying to polish it or you are frustrating, the one thing we can all agree on, that second half performance especially should never be accepted at this football club, and I'm very hopeful that this will be the kick up the arse Russell Martin needs, because it's not a friendly, it's no scraping through in Europe, you know what I mean. This is it now, this is where he's going to be judged, this is what's going to cost him a job. And you know, I get it, right, we've got one eye in European football and I imagine that played a part in terms of the substitutions we need to speak about later on in the game, but at the same time, you ask any fan, we want to see us get back to winning domestically, so that's the full focus needs to be there. And again, we can continue to talk about the dross and we can talk about this and we can talk about that, but also if we're being fair, Russell Martin with his substitutions also never helped himself. Whether again one of those eyes are on Europe or no, that's a rookie mistake in a club that you can't make these kind type of mistakes again, and you can't go ahead to repeat. If you've got an eye on European football, if you want to keep rasking who's our best player, and I would say the most influential player in the Rangers team in 2025, I'm happy to sit and say that he should be playing until the wheels fall off, in my personal opinion, or the game is won, because 1-0 at Fir Park when they're on the ascendancy, the game isn't won there. It's no time to look into European football. Go ahead and get your second goal, keep your best players on the park, get that second goal, get a wee bit breather room, and then if you must rest and you must rotate, then go ahead to make the substitution, but never actually weaken your squad when the game's up like that, especially with the players you're bringing on are nowhere near the level of what you're taking off. So this must be a wake-up call in all aspects to Russell Martin, and I'll keep that cross that it will be. Again, will it? we'll find out. There is a European game and we know the players will try their best then, because that's truly what they care about. But again, I hope Martin listens to what the fans care about, and it's getting and bringing back domestic success to a team that used to be domestically successful. So I guess the best way to summarise the overall overview is to say that mistakes were all around us. The personnel, the selection, the performances. So let's learn from it, please. And thank you, especially considering the fact that I'd argue we never dropped points today, despite us obviously conceding a late goal, and that's what it being on paper. But if you look at the run of the game and the way that it unfolded and the chances that was created, I'd argue we stole a point from Motherwell today that not only deserved to get something for the game, but if you're being fair, probably deserve to pick up all 3 points. And that's not what we want to be saying as a Rangers fan. But again, I've got to reflect on what I've seen, and what I've seen was Motherwell, who are under a new manager with new players and trying a new system, playing better, sharper, faster football than us. And if it isn't Russell Martin's fault, it's on the players. So stop picking them. But again, that'll be a conversation for another day. So let's go ahead to get to the recap, because you can imagine there's a lot to talk about. But again, despite the frustrations that's clearly seen in today's video because how bad the second half was, the first half actually had some really nice stuff. Again, scary patterns they played, but that's the Russell Martin system. We talked about that. But there were some clicks, there were some flows, there were some enjoyable moments, believe it or not. But again, they're completely overshadowed by what was a disastrous second half. Speaking of expect, you know you're going to see some mad defending in 15 seconds on the clock. We went ahead and saw it. We started with the ball, we passed it to Tav, he tried a long ball, went to need it, came back, they played in behind him, they whipped in across, and thankfully Big Soapy was there defensively to get that booted out, or we could have been behind from our own kick-off 20 seconds into the game. But we survived that we scared, and then again we got on the ball, then we started to pass the ball, but Gazama has a really good moment where defensively he's almost at our corner flag, but he does a beautiful wee swing, takes his man on, drives into the middle, Rothwell goes out to the right, and then goes to Tavernier into Raskin. Raskin plays it to Gazama, Gazama cuts inside, wins as a dangerous free kick that Tav then gets on target, and you're thinking, right, this is how you respond, and this is how you take momentum away from Motherwell, who 30 seconds in had every fan up expecting the ball to go into the back of net. We have a shot on target, we look dangerous for the set piece, we're at least building something, and that's how it felt in the first 15 minutes, because we were starting to snap in, we were starting to win the ball. Danilo ends up rattling the bar 14 minutes in as they get a wee bit of loose ball. I think it is actually Soapy that wins the ball. Raskin then plays it into Danilo. Danilo just opens the body up, has a wee curling effort that rattles the bar, and again, the only luck that lad's got is no luck. Actually, that was around about the 12th minute of the game. Another wee chance we had before we put the ball into the back of it was a great moment, and it's so scary. It's the best and worst and terrifying of the Russell Martin system, because it starts with Butland, plays a dangerous ball to Rothwell, and I'm going, oh my god. But Rothwell, great wee pass, air to Tav, into Raskin. Again, they were combining pretty early into the game of football. Raskin then plays it into Danny. Danilo, beautiful wee touch pass into Gazama, who runs in, tries to curl it, and it goes just wide. And again, that then led to the goal kick that eventually then got us hitting the bar for Danilo. But the pressure was building, and clearly it was getting to Motherwell, because everyone talks about the corner, and rightly so, it's beautiful. How did we get the corner? Paul McGinn just booting the ball out of play because there was nobody for him to pass to, and we were chasing him down, and he just has a brain fart and just goes, and just smashes it out. That's the best of what Russell Martin's high press can actually do. It can choke the life out of teams, it can sort of make them panic, and it can win cheap set pieces like that. And then again, Rothwell, wonderful ball into the mixer. Motherwell looks like us defensively for set pieces. They leave James Henry home, bullet header, hitting the back of net for his 131st goal in a Rangers team. Can you imagine how many goals he'd have had in a Rangers kit if he wasn't always taking the corners, if he was just in there using that heading and finishing ability? Could even have more. But you're hitting 15 minutes on the clock, we scare, it's terrifying at the back. However, brilliant play, brilliant goal, and we've scored a set piece. Everything was looking perfect, and then it stopped being perfect, and it stopped round about the 22nd minute of the game. I know Motherwell get out wide and they put a dangerous ball in that Big Nasser does brilliantly defensively to sort of cut it out, and it goes thankfully into the arms of Butland. But for me, Motherwell started to grab the momentum round about the 25th minute of the game of football, where they try and play a ball. Tavernier intercepts it first very well, but then just does a awful pass in to Motherwell. They then play it in behind them that forces a shot into Butland, who gets down, should save it, but because he spills it, it falls to Motherwell, who they end up having a snapshot, but it's again brilliantly saved by Butland. But these wee moments and these wee mistakes build up and give back to the crowd and back to the players the momentum that your goal and fast start had ripped away from them. Just wee things like that and getting them off their seats hands the momentum back to the home side. And again, we've done some other nice things in the first half, but there was never another, oh my god, that should be bursting into the back. And Gazama had a couple good wee runs. We tried to put a couple balls into the mixer, but none really stuck the rest of the first half, barring possession, for dare I say, possession's sake. But again, half time gone on, 1-0 up at Fir Park. Not playing exactly great, but not playing too bad either. You take that and you think, right, we'll get into half time, we might tweak and change things, and we might go about our business. Maybe even bringing on the likes of Finlay Curtis at half time, who's looked so impressive so far this season. Maybe Dana Curtis, Gazama, because Gazama's also played on the right for Sheffield Wednesday. He's had the opportunities to play on the right, so when we're doing it today, I know we're going to be signing Ant-Man, or at least we've had a bid accepted by Ant-Man, and that'll probably take the position of a Dowell. But in this game, think maybe, just maybe, try and attack that and just boost the attack that was very limp all damn day, barring the occasional run for Gazama, who, I don't know if you noticed, but about 30 minutes into the game, Motherwell realised they never had anything to worry about. You've got Tavernier bombing down anywhere. You got Dowell, who doesn't want to run and can't run in there. So they just started doubling up on Gazma. I don't know if it was noticeable to everybody else. I imagine it was, but 30 minutes on, we'd go back and watch a game. Two of them constantly out to them, and that just limited. And then that's when you need your other side to stand up. And where I don't think Dowell will be the absolute scapegoat for this gamey fit boy, he was just painfully invisible in the game, you know what I mean? And he just isn't able to grab the game by the scruff. It just can't be somebody we really rely on to pull us through big moments, because he never had any in the game of football, and that's a part of our leadership group. That scares me to death, as the fact that he played the full game. But either way, I'm going to balance this recap out by saying the good thing that Dowell done in the game was in the 46th minute, where again Raskin wins the ball, plays it out to Dowell then chips it into the back post where Gazama's there. Good header, but it's a comfortable save. That was your best moment in about 40 minutes of play, and spoiler alert, that's your best moment for the rest of the game. We Nico winning the ball in the middle of the park, driving with it, playing it to Dowell, who, to be fair to him, picks out a brilliant cross to the back post. But that was it. Because the next 19 minutes of football was just the Motherwell show, and it's mental to think of where it all comes down to. And again, it is the mistakes at the back, it is kicking the ball out the play, and it is doing silly fouls. And it all started in the 50th minute. The true domino to the Motherwell's goal, in my opinion, starts in the 50th minute. Tav, unfortunately, who scored, and you want to sing, you want to do your praise here, but he does a shocking pass at the back. I don't know who he's passing to. I think him and Dowell's had a wee bit of confusion. He's expecting Dowell maybe to come back, I don't know. He just kicks it straight to the Motherwell player, so he then slides in and he almost gets the ball, but it is a foul, ladies and gentlemen. The Motherwell player whips in beautifully to the back post. Elijah should bury it into the back of it, but thankfully somehow, some way, he misses the free header and thinking, right, we got away with that one. Let's wake up Rangers. Spoiler alert. We never. More Motherwell possession, more Motherwell attacks, ends up coming here. They play a beautiful ball in to the box, which Max Aarons actually does brilliant defensively as he tracks his man all the way, holds him up, doesn't allow the shot, ends up getting it cleared, but it's coming back now, it's breaking down in the attacking areas. They end up putting the ball out wide again. Tavernier gets beat, the ball comes in, it's a good save again by Butland, and then Big Soapy, with his best defensive moment of the game, reacts quicker than the big striker from Motherwell, boots it away, takes a sair one. But that's the best of Big Soapy. When you're in the trench and you need somebody to headbutt a brick wall, he is your guy, and that's what he done there. He reacts, puts his body on the line, gets it clear, and you're thinking, Man, what must they be better than this? Surely was a little reprieve, and it all came down from the left-hand side of Max Aarons, where he just gallops and takes off. Again, another brilliant wee 1-2 with him and Raskin, who never even had that much of a great game, and it might sound like I'm mentioning Raskin's name a lot, but anything good Rangers done today usually had Raskin involved somewhere, and it was another one, Soapy to Aarons to Raskin to Soapy into Aarons, and I think a wee dirty nutmeg for Gazima. Aarons runs in, has a shot, but again it's a P-roller, and it's easily saved, but yeah, that was it. And Martin had just seen enough at this point, right? And then immediately started to make some substitutions. Now, his first double substitution wasn't as bad as his second one. Don't worry, we will get there. But he went ahead and made a double substitution as Danilo came off, and so did Diamande, who really disappointed me the day, right? I know we've got some dross in that team, right? And I look at some players and I just didn't rate you. Diamande's got more than that, and it has to be better than that. But he came off for Lyle Cameron and Big CD, number 9, who looked impressive when he came on versus Panathinaikos. You're thinking, right, 1-0, Motherwell's gone for us. They're in the centre. We went ahead and made some changes. Let's see what we can do. Well, 14 seconds after the substitution, we did see a bit of something from the subs, but it's maybe not what a lot of us were hoping it would be, as the thing that happened shortly after the substitution wasn't a goal, wasn't an assist. It is none other than Lyle Cameron picking up a yellow card as he stops a counter-attack as Motherwell are in again. But even our substitute getting booked 13 seconds in to his game time didn't wake anybody up, because the exact same counter of a loose ball going forward played in behind is again on for Motherwell. This time Max Aarons is able to go slide beautifully to block the shot, and the shot that blocks off Aarons' arse cheeks, ladies and gentlemen, ends up dropping into Buckland's hand, and then Giga, Mr. Nasser, ended up coming up here and was massive several times, and I've probably not mentioned them, and I do feel harsh because there is frustration out there is annoyance out there, but if you look at your best player on the park, I would say it was the big centre half, who again, some people still aren't sold into, some people still aren't fully behind, but in terms of what happened in this game of football and where was needed and who was needed, I think if you take him out and put him with any other centre back we had on the books last season, it's not a point we get today. It's absolutely zero. So that's at least something to take away in terms of his individual performance. Again, I get it, it's not enough overall for a Rangers team and everybody needs to be better, but I didn't feel like Nasser should be one that is flung in there, because he was big several times that we've not even really talked about in today's video, winning big headers or tracking a man, or maybe no slide tackling or blocking that, but again just ushering a man out, winning us a goal kick, putting out some Tavernier fires, covering for Big Soapy. He was just doing it a lot, and then he started to get maybe on the old highlight reel later on in the game because he was constantly needed time and time again as they play a beautiful ball in behind Soapy. He's towing a caravan, but thankfully Nasser turns on the afterburners, hits a massive block slide / slide tackle again to stop yet another shot for Motherwell. And people were actually questioning why I was talking about the way Motherwell was playing so far in terms of the Scottish Cup, in terms of the preview video. Yes, I said, what are you talking Motherwell for? Why? Do you see why? They were playing attacking football, and if it wasn't for our new centre back, would have been absolutely salt and peppered all day. Now, before maybe the most controversial substitution overall of the day, Motherwell end up hitting the top of the bar, or maybe just the top of the net, if I'm honest, as Tavernier and Dowell gets beat. You know what I mean? The ball comes into the mixer and Soapy gets beat. You know what I mean? I'm completely shocked in there, and the boy's got a free header, just jumps completely air Suter, but thankfully misses an absolute sitter right there. He was looking like Big Dessers up at Ross County with the chances that he went ahead and missed today, thankfully, by the way, right? But we went ahead and made the substitution that's going to dominate a lot of the conversation point as Nico Raskin got substituted off, and so somehow did Joe Rothwell for Connor Barron and Barami. Barron and Barami for Raskin and Rothwell. I don't care if you're new to the club, I don't care if there's European football you come, I don't care what anyone's got to say. That is never in a million years like for likes or anywhere near the same stratosphere. And for me, that's where I then get frustrated at Martin, because why the hell have have you done that? No, again, we weren't dominating the midfield, and it wasn't the best performance for wee Raskin or even the best performance for Rothwell. None of that at all. But again, at the same time as when you're already in the fight and you're no winning every round, you didn't come out the next round with no hands behind your back starting to go on, let's go ahead and do that. You need to still keep your best players in there and fighting. And for me, we just brought them two in, and no disrespect to both of them, but again, they offered nothing in terms of winning that battle and trying to scruff the midfield up. Now Barron had an opportunity to burst the back in it as Gazama again does some beautiful work down the left hand side, cuts inside, plays the ball to Barron, but it hits it to the double Zs. There was that type of moment. There was a ball when it gets dropped to the back post. Soapy, I think, tries to header it. It drops out and it goes to young Lyle Cameron, who tries a volley from outside the box, which again is easily saved, but there was nothing really in there. You know what I mean? Dessers wasn't really in the game. The only real moment was when Gazama ended up playing the ball to Dessers, who's inside the box, who takes a touch, but his touch is a bit too heavy, ends up breaking away, and then 12 seconds later, 12 seconds, for us having the ball inside their box with our CD number 9 to then getting countered where Nasser's got to do another last ditch slide challenge. They're in again. But I've taken two of our three best players off round about this period. A play wasn't enough for Russell Martin, and he then goes and takes our only out ball, and the only guy that was able to beat a guy days. He takes off Gazama for Oscar Cortez, and again, no disrespect to Big Oscar, but Gazama's a good player. Ladies and gentlemen, right, he's looking really good. At least it could have been Finlay Curtis, who's up to speed and ready to go, but you bring on Cortez, and what did Cortez offer you? Being a half step behind, a beautiful ball getting played in, to be fair, by Barami, who should have been bursting that into the back of it, but Cortez, because he's rusty, because he's not there, is a step behind, and it allows Motherwell to clear the ball away later on in the game of football. It's just weird. Why was it no Curtis? He's been playing well. Why was it Oscar the day at Fir Park when things I couldn't be a football manager, man. It just pickles my brain. I just never. I'm sure there's some statistical reasons. Well, Curtis has ran a certain amount of distance today, and Hart Monitor said there'll be sun out there. But again, I just look at things in black and white, and I'm just like, Curtis is playing better. Why is Curtis not on? It is what it is. Anyway, carrying on, you know where we need to go next. We need to talk about the Motherwell goal, and it's maybe the most Motherwell goal versus Rangers, but also Rangers defensively we could ever concede. Tavernier and Dill get taken for an absolute walk, and what frustrates me here is when they get beat in the inside, just pull them down. Do Lyle Cameron, do what Kieran Dill done in European football, just pull the guy down and stop him right there, and try to defend the set piece. You didn't just allow a boy to run away from you and then charge into the box 87th minute into the game. Now, to be fair, Nasser ends up shoveling him out and the ball ends up getting clear, right? Fair enough, we get it away for that, but the ball comes straight back in with the clearance as the shot ends up bouncing off one of our players. If I'm honest with you, I think it's actually a Motherwell player. It bounces off, it goes in behind, it loops over Tavernier's head, it goes and does the Tavernitis where he puts the hand up, has a wee look to the referee. Why is he not playing to the whistle? Why is it 11 years later and we're talking about Tav not playing to the whistle? There's VAR now, Tav. You know what I mean? You didn't need to worry about the line or the ref doing their job. There's VAR now. Play to the whistle. And I feel like you might say, oh, that's too harsh, CJ, because they only stopped for half a second. But half a second was the difference in the shot coming off and going in between his legs. If he just gets stuck in there and blocks and plays to the whistle, he might get a block on it. He might not, but again, it's better than going and storm. And I've talked about that in Old Firms, I've talked about that in games last season, talked about in Kilmarnock in one of the last games of this season as well. It's something so painfully obvious, especially these days, where you should in the back of your mind think, just play, because if there is a mistake or if there is a handball, if it is offside, VAR will look at it and they should go ahead and change it. There's no reason to stop, even for a half a second or a second, I know, and put your hand up anymore. Just frickin' play. But aye, it's another major moment, a major blunder. I didn't think he was necessarily overly bad today, or in terms of a stand-out bad Tav, but it's another moment where he scores, another moment has a brain fart, and everything that comes out in terms of a balance. It's painful, ladies and gentlemen, but it's 1-1, and again, they fully deserved it. They're also in behind late on in the game of football as well, that forced a fantastic save for Jack Butland, as they could have and probably should have won the game. But yeah, it was just simply awful for Rangers. The game management, the leadership, or the lack of, especially in the last 15 minutes. Pretty much when the moment Raskin and Rothwell went off, especially Raskin, I know, oh, you're a Raskin fanboy, CJ, but just look at just how wide open the game exploded, and just nobody wanted to take the game. Nobody wanted to take the ball. And then we end up going there and finishing 1-1 at Fir Park. And that was game, that was set, and that was match. So it'll be interesting to know what your opinions are down there in the comment section below. Again, as I've tried to say, Motherwell were outstanding today. We were half decent for about half of the first half, and then it was more the same. But again, you can't constantly expect drastic changes when you look around and see you're trying to teach old dogs new tricks. It's a saying for a reason. Can we just wake up and make the big calls that need to be made and go on and get in a big set? I still want a number one. Nasser was good today, but I want a number one centre half next to him. Let's improve that area. It's not working, ladies and gentlemen. Let's improve that area. We've signed a right back this summer. Maybe play him at right back or play a left back, for instance. Dell's not working at right wing. Well, we're waiting for Ant-Man, who I imagine will be smiling in a couple of days' time, maybe even sooner, talking about him. If that is the answer, play him as well. There needs to be changes made, because Dane Mary the same is just going to bring the same disaster and the same disastrous results. It's cost managers job after job. I've probably said it too many times. I'm going to wrap up today's video here to let you enjoy the rest of your weekend, or try to salvage it, I should say. But really, really disappointing. But again, when you look around, you all right, you're expecting it, ladies and gentlemen. Martin, please wake up and make the big changes, big goals that need to be made. And let me know your opinions down there in the comment section below as we go ahead and wrap up today's video. Again, despite the frustration, shout out to the legends that are signed up to the channel legend memberships, and those that are currently signed up to the supporter range. And again, everyone that's subscribed and watches these videos, I put it free yesterday. Now, I know not a lot of them are promoted to people, but if you did go ahead and watch them, thank you so much for that. You know what I mean? I greatly appreciate it. I'll be seeing you soon, hopefully with a smile on my face. But it's the weekend. I need to go and try and salvage it, because Rangers certainly never saved it. But until then, I've been CJ Motherwell 992. Thank you so much for watching. All the best, and bye-bye.